Hello, and once again, welcome to Now Playing the 916. We have with us our guest of the day, Aether Element, a fresh band from the 916, debuting this month alongside our previous guest, Critical Condition. What you just heard was one of their songs to be debuted at TommyFest on March 22nd, coming up soon. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves and your instruments?
Yeah, my name is Tommy, and I am the drummer of Aether Element.
My name is Trevor, and I am the vocalist of Aether Element.
I'm Nate. I'm the guitarist. Unfortunately, Emilio, our bassist, was not able to make it today, but
Yeah, tragic.
he's here in heart.
He's here in heart.
Yeah.
Where's he at right now?
He's probably just at home making food, of course. Cool basic stuff.
All right, my first question for you guys is how did you come up with the name Aether Element?
In the name Aether Element, we relate to all the different elements, in alchemy and stuff like that. And the ether is technically the sixth element, quote unquote, or fifth element, sorry. So we put it together, Aether Element, like that, and we realized that the A, right, it starts with an A, and the second word is with an E. So we just put the letters together in it, so you kind of have your own little, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, but I remember for a while we were throwing around the AE symbol. Really wanted something to fit in with that because it's such a simple logo. And I remember Tommy came up with it. It stuck pretty well, and I think it kind of adapted to what the meaning was, but I think we settled on it's kind of like the four elements of which we all represent.
Yeah,
Bringing forth the Aether element, which is the separate body, which we kind of think of as the crowd, as the people enjoying the music, experiencing what we're playing. That should be the Aether element.
Very inclusive of the audience and yourselves. Comparing the instrumentals that you provided to the podcast to what you guys have on your YouTube, you can 100% see the inspiration from Tool. Was that the whole reason for the band? It kind of seems like it's a common enough phenomenon that people get together as a cover band and then expand into originals.
yeah. That's kind of interesting, actually. That's a cool question. So we kind of started just jamming a lot. We just did a lot of jamming, no real, just like messing around with your instruments with your buddies. And then we really wanted to get to the next level and understand like different time signatures and structure of like song structure and stuff. We started learning a lot of Tool stuff, which was definitely one of my big inspirations early on, even before I played drums, just in general in music.
Yeah, we have a lot of inspirations from like I don't know if you know them like Meshuggah, as well as like Animals as Leaders. There's something very intriguing to us about like that kind of music. I suppose it's not something you hear every day, and it's nice to kind of hear that uniqueness.
When I was in high school, I didn't officially know Tool until I met these guys, and it was an immediate connection. And Tool really provides this raw emotion for music that we feel that a lot of music doesn't really have anymore. So our big thing with it is like we want to bring that emotion back, that feeling, that message, rather than your average love song or money and fame. It's more about the emotion of the song.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Tool brought this big emotion that we didn't really feel with a lot of other bands. I think there's just something about them, how they've stuck to their true message and how real their music is. It takes a lot to not sell out nowadays in this industry, and I very much look up to them for that, and I think we all do, really. Yeah.
Especially like something that speaks to me a lot with that, or some of our inspirations, is going to a live show to see like Meshuggah or Tool or something like that, Animals as Leaders. The like emotions and feelings and thoughts it like gives you while you're watching all this crazy stuff happen live, I don't know, it's like super inspiring and just soul healing. I feel like that shit that is super special.
They bring a lot of arts into their performances, and like Adam Jones is a talented artist, and they collab with Alex Gray, who's an amazing artist. So they have all these collabs of like artistic like visuals throughout their entire performances. and that is it's incredible. Like seeing it live was a completely unreal experience. And I got to see them within the first 3 weeks of me knowing what Tool was, and it
Oh
was
my
incredible.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's super. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Definitely, I absolutely love when a band utilizes props and utilizes, like, artistry. I know not related to, metal at all, but Empire of the Sun and Muse utilize a lot of, like, artistry, but then you also have Iron Maiden, and you also have it's a little goofy, but, Rob Zombie, you know?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. That's a good one.
Absolutely. Primus.
Primus too. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that one. So, I mean, I know Primus, but I didn't know that their, shows also have a lot of,
Yeah,
It's really cool.
Les Capel was very much into claymation, and he wanted to actually be a movie director before he got into the
Ooh,
music.
that's awesome. I did not know that. I don't follow Primus that much.
It's a weird one, but
Yeah,
it is a groovy band.
How long have you guys all been interested in music? Was it something since childhood, or was it something later on?
yeah. I would say it's all different for each other. How long have you been playing for, Nate? Like,
I've been playing guitar for like probably 4 years. At the very beginning, it's off and on, but I've always loved music. Like when I was young, I listened to a lot of 80s stuff and like classical. And then as I got older, my tastes kind of changed, and I found different genres of music had different appeals and like different like moods or emotions that you can kind of get into when you're listening to it. And I guess it's always kind of spoken to me. And when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out like what I want to actually do, like, for my life. Like, I know just the kind of person I am. I can't work like a 9 to 5 in an office. I don't know. Just
yeah,
wouldn't work
right.
for me. And I guess I settle on music, and it's a lot of fun, honestly, which is a big reason that like I enjoy playing music,
Mhm.
and so it's always kind of been there for me at least. What about you guys?
For me, I well, I've loved music for a very long time. When I was a kid, I would sing to myself and to my mom all the time. A lot of Miley Cyrus and stuff like that. But growing up, growing up when actually got taste for myself, my dad was very into the Beatles and AC/DC and these heavier, not the Beatles heavier, but AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, heavier rock scenes, for like 80s. So I got into the 80s for a while. I think that very much the 80s got me into loving the groove of music. Um, and then around middle school, I got into like Radiohead, Nirvana, and Alice in Chains, a little bit more of a grunge phase. And yeah, as I said, when I went to high school, I met these guys, these two tools, and they really opened my mind because I was into grunge. I didn't care for country too much or pop at all, but I was into punk. I was into grunge, metal, all that type of stuff. But really hearing a genre like Tool, like Gojira, like Meshuggah, just the amount of possibilities you can have within music. And really what drove me to music is I actually started on piano and then ukulele, and I always wanted to master an instrument. But really just this like prime expression to just let out what is in here. I had a teacher for the longest time. His name was Jonathan Jimerson, JJ Music Study or Studios, and I was learning guitar from him, and he was like, "Hey man, you got a good voice, you should sing." And I never really considered it till that point. I got a vocal teacher named Ashley Black. She taught me everything I needed to know, and now I'm a singer. Um, but it's interesting because you go in thinking I wanted to be a guitarist, right? But sometimes you find these secret talents or something you thought you didn't have that is your best quality, and you can use that. And really expressing myself through music has been my whole thing because there's just so much you can get out from music, really. And you know, it's a beautiful outlet. It's a beautiful
I agree.
creation. I feel like the world would be a very, very quieter place without music.
Mhm. 100%. Honestly, like music in general has gone back all the way to me being very little. I loved watching a lot of different like Star Wars movies and like Indiana Jones, just certain movies with like orchestral music. I used to listen to a lot of that type of stuff. My parents would play a lot of different rock stuff, you know, like Nirvana, The Smiths, stuff like that. And I would mainly just listen to instrumental kind of, yeah, orchestral compositions until I was about 12 or 13. I had just started playing the drums about 4 years ago, is when I really started like listening to more of this rock music, metal and stuff. And then my stepdad told us about Tool. He said, "Oh, today, you know, this was like in 2020, I believe, 2019." He said a new Tool album came out, and we're like, I at least I had no idea what that was. And so I listened to it for the first time, and it immediately changed my entire perspective of music in general. Just like me playing on the drum set, like how all of the instruments combine, like it's definitely a lot different than most stuff you hear nowadays. And so I definitely would take that as one of my big inspirations for some of this stuff. And where in general I came from background wise music.
What would you consider your guys' specific genre to be?
I would say
That's the hard
all of
question.
us could say it's a different thing in a way. I would personally say it's like heavy prog rock. It's not quite just regular like rock, but it's also not like too metal, you know? It's kind of definitely got its balance in between to get that heavy prog rock. I know Trevor might say, or somebody might say, like it's a little psychedelic because we definitely do have those parts in our original, and also you know us playing our Tool stuff or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I progressive heavy rock, and I was gonna put psychedelic progressive there because I like. We were showing off our music in the beginning, and one of our friends said to us he liked how captivating and what was it, hypnotic,
Yeah.
trance-like our music was, and that made me feel
Trance-like.
like, yeah, you really get kind of stuck in this place of like feeling the rhythm. So I would say some sort of psychedelic properties, but I would agree a heavy progressive rock because we're not too metal.
We have
But
some,
we have some problems.
have some like heavy chugging sections and some heavy, like if you just isolated it, it would sound like metal. But then we will go back to like a flowy kind of more like, I guess, riffy or like even like rocky section, if that makes sense.
The items that were provided didn't have any lyrics yet. Is there a theme that we'll be able to see within the first release regarding the lyrics? What kind of ideas can we expect through them?
The theme of this song coming out, without giving away too much, is going to be focused on primal self, reconnecting with the earth. I feel like people nowadays are not really outdoors. They're not really connected with our actual earth where we came from. So I had a lot of themes of that in there, a lot of metaphors to rivers and such like that. But also, it's about overcoming this stagnantness within, which it's called the set in stone, SETIN, one word. That it is hard, and there are times where we become stagnant, where we become molded by what is flowing over us rather than taking that flow and continuing with the force. We had a big struggle within our band for a while. We were pretty stagnant, and overcoming that was a big thing for us. I think it brought us a lot closer together with this music. And so that's a big message, and I wanted that to be kind of what our first song was about, overcoming obstacles that are imminent. They are meant to happen. Like everything takes molding, everything takes shape. A diamond isn't created without immense pressure on top of it. So, really just molding what we were and accepting it, overcoming it, and building it.
These lyrics, they're obviously really deep and I would assume pretty personal, if not to yourself specifically, then like your group. I'm really excited. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say with that.
That's really important to us, stuff like that. I think we only have one planet, and people just seem to think that it will go away, or that all this stuff, scientists, people who like went and studied this stuff are wrong and they're lying and paid by the government, whatever, it's just like, but think logically, like, this planet is sacred and we need to take care of it much better than we do.
This is where we came from. What can we do to protect this, to make sure we can have a home for us, for our people in the future? But yeah, it's a big thing. We're a bunch of tree huggers.
Yeah. We love the outdoors.
We go through ups and downs. We'll have really like intense periods where there's a lot of war and stuff, and it seems that this is a pretty like all throughout history. There's some sort of conflict going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, where does that come from? Where, like, how is this a consistent thing, And what we can do to improve, I suppose, and like how we can better, because I don't think anybody likes turning on the news and seeing all this
Negative everything, but that's our world currently. And how do we tackle that? Yeah, and I feel like the message of music has definitely helped before with others. So again, that's our thing, kind of bringing back this message to the sing, real music, real emotion,
Yeah.
and real people.
We've talked about inspiration just in general, but is there any specific inspiration for specifically playing or specifically your writing process?
I would say it is kind of the state of our world. It's kind of like we all have a core, like we play because we love to play, we love to express ourselves in this way. But the point of our band is that we want, we need people to know what's happening. We need people to wake up and understand and to be aware of what is happening. I feel like a lot of the time it's labeled as okay to just kind of push things aside and not worry about it because, well, I'm in my house, I'm here, I can't do anything. It's not like I can make a difference. Us all together, we can make a difference. That is very much true. So just bringing back that we are capable. Us as people are capable.
Yeah.
And
I think that plays into like the writing style because some of the stuff we do is pretty like endurance wise challenging, and like we enjoy playing in like odd time signatures and whatnot, which is, it can be difficult, but it's like it's also going through that process kind of helps you to like have a better understanding of music and other things as well. So it's like forging yourself through challenging, if that makes sense.
It's kind of like how I would describe it, at least, is it's like an art piece, and different stuff has different like details to it, and all that stuff wraps back into what that is, I suppose.
I know that you guys do have an artist among you, and I did notice a strange A on one of the shirts. Is this merch?
this is merch, right?
Oh yeah, yes, we do. Show it like
Sorry.
Would you
I'm
like
the
to
artist.
describe it for our listeners?
Yes. So I do most of arts for Aether Element. I very much enjoy drawing. I made this logo. We got the AE, which is put together on the top corner. And this entire piece right here, I kind of wanted it to be kind of weird looking, kind of like you look at it, you don't really know what you're looking at. But kind of don't want to spoil what it is. But it is
you have to say it.
I have to say, okay.
We want it, yeah.
It's a concealed octopus. It's an octopus. I went to a museum, and the octopus they put in a giant jar, and it was like one of the giant squids, and they had it concealed and preserved. So I took a photo of it, put a bunch of blue filters on it, and put the AE in the corner for our first shirt.
Okay,
yeah.
I would not have guessed that at all.
You're right.
Yeah,
It's
very weird.
That's what I like about it. Look at it, you don't really know what you're looking at quite yet.
It looks like a xenomorph baby. It looks like the International Space Station. It looks like Star Wars. It looks like it could be a lot of things, all of them very outer worldly.
That's exactly what we aimed for. Perfect.
That's a great way of describing it as well. Outer worldly.
I would never have guessed that, honestly.
It looks
I know.
very strange. But once you like actually look at it and you can see it, it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool at least. Um, yeah, it's a preserved squid essentially.
It's our first shirt we ever got out. So yeah. We
Okay.
actually had a guy from Germany who wanted
yeah.
to get one, so we had to ship out a shirt to Germany, which was a pretty cool experience. He sent a photo of us with him on it. It was like, that's sick. It's crazy, like people from out of
Different
our
countries.
listening to us. It was just a cool experience. It really was motivating as well to see that. But yeah.
Is there going to be a re-release of this shirt since it's already been
Yes,
released?
there is absolutely going to be a re-release.
Yes.
To give a couple little details, we're going to do some artwork on the, what do you call it? The sleeve, on the sleeve of the shirt.
Be like
Um,
on the left side.
something possibly on the back, and maybe some blacklight reactive stuff.
Ooh.
Band utilizes a lot of blacklights during our sets as like an art kind of display. I would definitely say it makes it very atmospheric. It's a lot different than a lot of shows I've been to. And so we started utilizing blacklights, and we've got a large tapestry. That's
Mandala.
yeah, mandala. That's blacklight reactive. But yeah, and this upcoming show for TommyFest is going to be very set up. We are going to have a lot of lighting, a lot of different interesting visual stuff, a visual set.
It's gonna be hype. Big show coming.
Okay. Very excited. What drives you in the music creation process?
I'll just say real quick for mine, just again to express, just to express what is deep inside here and to get that true emotion out. But I
Yeah.
said it before.
I would definitely say like learning the stuff that you learn when you play like complicated stuff. It makes you feel a certain way, and when like displaying that is very very cool. I feel like because again I feel like I don't see a lot of prog stuff in Sacramento at least that often, and being able to display that emotion and that image that we're trying to portray, at least because we obviously are utilizing complex time signatures and structure and stuff, which helps drive the atmosphere.
There have been times where we do something we have no idea how we did, and it's a really good feeling to like. We get in a big jam flow, and we've done so many things like beginning before we start anything. We'll do a random jam, and we just did not record it. It's gone forever, but it was like something incredible.
Yeah,
It's a big part of it. Definitely the flow of it, the flow and the connection we feel with this music.
and certain riffs that definitely like display that emotion. Like in our most recent single, there's a certain rhythm section that we do that every single time gives me like little goosebumps almost. Like the first time I heard that riff, it was very like I want to display this to the crowd so badly. It's a very cool riff and process, just all sorts.
And there's just something achieving about playing a song of that quality.
Yeah.
That really, I think we all very much enjoy.
I also think there's like many art forms, like such as drawing or music, or art is a huge genre. There's a lot to it. It allows you to express ideas and like nuanced emotions differently than language. And to me, that's a big driver because it's a different form of communication, I guess.
Did you guys all take like music theory classes at one point, or was this something that you guys just encountered through your playing?
I've taken some music theory classes at college, but it was initially like it was just through experimentation, and I would find like interesting sounding things where I couldn't really like describe it that well. Now that I have like a more formal understanding, I understand like the words for these things, but it's still like when you're just experimenting, these sometimes they can just kind of come out of nowhere. And it's like, whoa, this sounds a lot different than anything that I've even played before or like heard.
Absolutely. Nate actually taught me how to count, and then I taught Trevor how to count. it was like a very interesting process how all that ties together, because we would jam a lot and we would play certain things that would make us very curious, like,
Yeah,
whoa, that was a lot different. Like, what is that? And we figured out like odd timing is a thing, 7, 5, 9, all these different weird time signatures. The more you practice stuff like that, or just think about it, I suppose, because most of the time, it's not intentional. We don't want to. We need to play in an odd time signature here. It's more just like
something
flow.
catches our ear.
Yeah,
Like
it's definitely the groove and the flow of it that chooses
Things
the
that
time.
stand
Yeah,
out towards us.
absolutely.
Following the class or music theory question, what ways do you guys participate outside of the band or expanding what you can provide to the band with music?
I work at Guitar Center actually, so I get a lot of really good music discounts on gear, and I also just learn a lot about gear in general. If not just in the instrument that I play, but the guitar, the bass, all sorts of speakers and like DJ equipment, microphones. I learn a lot about different stuff like that through working, yeah, at Guitar Center as an operations guy. But yeah,
I'm also doing classes for audio engineering. So like that's something with me. Sometimes I'll be tweaking on my guitar tone and trying to get like that perfect sound where it's full but then distorted but not too distorted where it gets washed out. So like trying to understand how sound works, it is a physical like thing and it interacts with the environment in different ways. Because like I'm sure you guys have been to a show where it just doesn't sound good and it could the musicians could be playing extremely well. It has nothing to do with the musicians, it's with the equipment and with the like
yeah.
setup. So it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes when that's
The decider
Yeah.
of like how you sound at a venue. Like you can play really well, but then if you're using house gear sometimes and it might be crap, it just completely changes. I don't know. It's very strange. That kind of stuff.
Big thing with me is I'm the voice of the band. I like to think a lot of what our image can be, what we can bring that's unique to the table as a visual experience, as an internal experience, as a listening experience. I always am trying to think of imagery and what we can do that's unique, that catches eye, that is going to really show this message we're trying to portray. But more of the visuals and words. I'm always trying to throw words around and see what kind of clocks in with our band.
Trevor, where do you work?
I work at Oakmont Senior Care Living. I'm a server, so I just serve for the elderly, food and such. It's good to help and be there. But yeah, that's my
Oh my god.
definitely a lot of good people there. Some angry ones too, but it's very interesting. Like I remember there was a lady there who actually got to take care of Harrison. Oh no, I mean, was it?
Come on, buddy.
I think it was Harrison Ford's wife or something like that. It was like something really interesting. It's definitely very cool to see, and a lot of them talk about their like old music and such. And we have this lady who lived in New York, and she talks about theater and how it was a big thing for Broadway and such. So it's very, very cool to see all that. We actually have music there every Tuesdays and Fridays, sometimes Wednesdays. And they'll always have like some music going on in the front room for them. So I'll always pop in every once in a while, listen in and such. But yeah, I like being there to be a help for what I can be in that time for them.
Have you guys played for them yet?
No, that would be
hilarious.
I think because it's a lot of, we like to get loud, we like to really get into,
Get a heart attack.
they probably would not appreciate our music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different kind of type of music. Like
Yeah.
playing that for an older crowd.
We have a plan for we have side projects and such. We have an idea for a band called Streamline, which would be like jazz fusion. So who knows, maybe. But yeah.
Off recording, you did mention that you have another band. Would you like to kind of give us a little rundown?
Yeah. My other band is called Cased. I've been in that band for about a year and a half. Um, we have not actually played a show yet because we have been writing and building all of this different music. It's also prog, but I would say that that band is definitely like prog metal. But yeah, we've been practicing for about a year and a half. And TommyFest, we are going to be playing our first debut show to show our newest single that we just recorded and will hopefully be coming out soon, and a couple older originals that we'll play for that set as well.
Sounds like there's a lot of debuting at Tommy Fest.
There is a lot of stuff going on.
Is that your project, or is this all of you guys together, or is this?
It's kind of all of us together. We just have a lot of appreciation for different types of music. A big band of ours is called Volto, which is the drummer of Danny Carey, his kind of fusion band. Big inspiration for that, really. But in this band, I'm going to be playing bass, and then Tommy sings drums, of course, and Nate's on guitar. It's really just another way to express a more delicate and softer side of, really just to express that more delicate side without too much of the roughness.
And moving on to the next topic, how long has it taken to get from the beginning of Aether to, creating this album and now the first show?
Been about over 2 years.
Yeah, I would say a little over 2 years. Right? That sounds about right.
We just started in a garage. We started in Tommy's garage,
Oh, God,
Tommy and
yeah.
Nate's garage, and his neighbors hated our guts.
And it was
Yeah.
so hot
And
all
so,
the time.
yep, it's been a long thing in the making. But we've been at DNL for about 2 years, which blew my mind because I did not
Really?
feel like 2 years. It's been
I thought it was like a year and a half.
It's been two
I
years,
think-
so it's an incredible thing. We were stagnant, we were slow, but it took because we wanted to really understand the complexities of what we wanted to execute. That's why we started with Tool and
Yeah.
all this. Really understanding the most complex structures before we start our own journey.
And it definitely helped because we can definitely do a lot of stuff that we wouldn't have been able to had we have not like practiced some of these different concepts, I suppose. For me at least, polyrhythms, stuff like that. Otherwise would have been very difficult and I've not really understood, I suppose.
It's
Yeah.
good. Like at the very beginning, once we realized, because for a while it was just us jamming, having fun, but then we're like, okay, we could maybe do something with this, like professionally. And when it came around to that, like I wanted to start writing music off the bat. And Thomas made a good point about like we should learn some originals or some covers to understand the perspective of these people who've been doing it for way longer than we've even been alive.
Yeah.
So
Jumping off of that, what goals do you guys have set up when it comes to where you're going? Any dream shows, anything sort of like that, like ideas for albums?
Yeah, honestly, we have big plans ahead of us. We're working hard. We need to put in that extra foot, but we can do a lot of the stuff that we have planned.
we're thinking about a tour to LA even.
Yeah.
Doing like we'll basically go from around here. We'll hit like Chico, some nearby areas, and then just do shows along the way, and then kind of end it in LA and doing like hitting a bunch of different venues in LA, I guess, over the summer.
So that would be a lot of fun. Up tour. Hopefully, we're getting a trailer soon as well to help
Yeah,
move all of our stuff. We have a lot of gear.
too much probably.
Yeah, too much gear, but it helps the process, I suppose.
I have seen the videos of those using just the van, and it does not look like a lot of fun. So the trailer. So would this tour be within this upcoming summer, or is this a further out thing?
We're probably thinking next summer.
Yeah, probably next summer, which isn't a while from now, but by that point, we'll have a lot more stuff under our feet, a bigger foundation to help us make it as big and good as possible, I suppose.
And we'll have probably because we're hoping to release an album probably by like next year or within like a year and a half or so. But it takes us a long time to write these songs.
Yeah, it really does.
Which it's a good thing as well because it means that we can really dedicate the time to make it our vision. Because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I know these guys are as well.
We all are.
So it's like getting it right.
Okay. And then finally, or for the final question, are there any closing remarks, or do you want to retouch on anything we either might have missed or we might have rolled over?
Going back to kind of like our vibe and our message, we have this concept of we want the audience when they walk into the venue to like it feels like you're walking into another realm or another place. Like you're hit with the black lights and decoration and like props and stuff, but also just like a general feeling of like, whoa, where's this place that I'm entering? It's almost otherworldly feeling. And to kind of like almost have this like look of like an apocalypse, if that makes sense, where we could have like some of our gear is like looks like it's rusted and we'll have like just weird symbols everywhere. Like what would the world look like afterwards, I guess, if that makes sense.
It's a big thing for us. We've all talked about like, imagery of like an overgrown world, like skyscrapers taken over by trees and life going back through it and such. I know there's this book. I always forget the name of this book, but it essentially elaborates on if humans just disappeared one day, how the earth would take over its natural form. It's a very interesting thing. I wish I could remember the name of this book. It's been plaguing me, but yeah, it's a very interesting imagery of this nature everywhere taking over and reclaiming what was once its. Um, re- really, a big end goal for this is that we just want to we want this to go out. We want people to be aware of this message.
Create this experience.
Yeah,
Create this experience. It's our biggest thing.
Once again, this was Aether Element. You can find them on Instagram at AETHER_element_band. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. By the airing of this, Aether Element, Critical Condition, Tovidence, and Cased will all be playing on Saturday at DNL Studios in Citrus Heights. Doors open at 6 and tickets are $15. You guys do have a website. Would you guys like to share that URL?
Yes, that would be aetherelement.com. That is AETHER element, ALEMENT.com, aetherelement.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you or another band you know would like to be hosted on with us, do not hesitate to shoot us a DM at nowplayingthe916 on Instagram or at nowplayingthe916@gmail.com. Any genre is invited. All you have to do is play, played, or plan to play the 916. Thank you for joining us, and until next time.